righted itself after the accident and went on a bit of a rampage. The mower knocked down a sign, crossed Shackleton's Road, and made it up another hill before finally becoming lodged into some trees. No one, except for the operator of that mower, was injured in that freak mishap, Carolyn.
We thank you, Roy.
Weather for the next few days, about the same, maybe a little bit warmer. Well, you'd think by now just about everyone would know what most Arkansans think about the beaver. Well, a friend of mine didn't. We'll tell you about that in a moment. I've got this friend named Dick Price. He works at KAAY radio, and this morning he read a story about a beaver ranch in Idaho that was going out of business and wanted to sell 750 beavers. Very innocently, Dick suggested it might be a nice thing to bring them to Arkansas.
Dudes and do a good job and everything, and I got about 100 phone calls this morning. People saying, "Get those rats out of this state!" You know, they must not be pleasant little animals like I thought.
It was obvious some of the callers were quite capable of supplying educational information concerning beaver invasions and subsequent destruction.
Evidently, they're spoiling cropland. Where they're damming it up, it's covering up beans, they said, and that's not good.
Across Arkansas, a lot of people are familiar with damage done by beavers, especially farmers.
Every farmer in the world is ready to run me out of town on a rail, I'm sure, you know.
Hey, Steve, next time you and Paul go fishing, be sure and take me along. You like
Well, Dick, we've watched Mr. Elliott of Little Rock tell us some basic things about car repair and upkeep. But you
everything I was going to say?
Not quite everything, I hope, because I want to ask you some questions about the other side of the coin. You get to see cars at your place, which
I get to see the results when they didn't do what he's talking about.
And what are the results?
It won't go.
It won't
usually,
go?
Yeah. Probably I think the biggest thing, we're the largest AAA towing service in the state.
Mm-hmm.
We tow probably an average of about 20 AAA members a day. Easily half of those are battery.
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 Mm-hmm.
When we go out, it's some problem they've had, and you'll open up the hood, and their battery is filthy. It'll be corroded till it's fallen apart,
mm-hmm.
and that probably is half of the problems of cars that we're seeing. Now, I'm not saying that of all the problems, because obviously, when you have engine problems, it'll still start for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as not being able to get going, people, oh, well, I need my carburetor rebuilt, or, well, I just had new plug wires put on, and a lot of times I can't help but agree with what you and Mr. Elliott were saying. You really get taken,
Mm-hmm.
The car won't start, and you take it into a shop and you say, gee, I'm sick and tired of this thing, it won't start. Probably a third of the, in quote, little old ladies that can't get their car started, oh, I want a new battery. That's the first word out of their mouth, I don't want to have this problem anymore, I want a new battery.
Mm-hmm.
And there are just an awful lot of people that'll sell you a new battery, and you don't need it.
Right.
Batteries pretty good, they last a long time, and they'll last a lot longer if you take not necessarily care of the battery, because now they're almost trouble-free, the new ones,
mm-hmm.
but the connections aren't. And they'll just be, when they get cruddy, there comes a point, probably 10% of the time, you can start a car, by, if it's got the old type cables,
mm-hmm.
by just taking hold of the top of the cable and turning it. At first I was thinking that you'd go out and people would have big problems. You're looking for a breakdown, something that's shot, and it's not. It's little things that have just been left alone.
Mm-hmm.
The belt that has gradually stretched, an alternator belt stretches. Then when you load it up, it slips. It doesn't quite ever get charged up, and gradually, especially in cold weather and everything, your battery's not putting out that much. A little stop and go, harder to crank with the cold oil. It just goes over the edge and it won't start.
Mm-hmm.
And then they turn the key until it's absolutely completely down,
mm-hmm.
and end up buying a battery now is up $70, $80
mm-hmm.
for even for a mid-sized car.
Right.
And battery connect. If you could tell people one thing that would save them trouble, battery connectors. That It really will save them a world of trouble.
And that's a pretty easy thing to take care of, isn't it?
A lot of gas stations will do it for you free.
And all it takes is a little baking soda and water and an old toothbrush. Is that right?
Not really.
A little more than that.
What happened, you clean the top off real well that way, before you have the problem on the old style ones especially, is the post. It's just a male-female coupler. And it'll get corroded on the inside. If you do want to do it yourself, any of the Walmart, Kmart parts houses have a little brush, a little metal brush that unscrews. It's got one that looks like a pipe cleaner and the other that is just a bunch of bristles pointing in. And you just take it apart and you take the one with the hole and put it down on the post of the battery and just turn it a couple of times. And then the one that looks like a pipe cleaner, you take and just run a few times back and forth in the cable. It works.
And that's an inexpensive way to
take
care of things.
They also, for the newer batteries that go on the side, they have a different thing. They're about 85 cents for the thing. And it's a nice thing. Throw it in your glove box or in the trunk and just leave there until you forget it's there.
So many people that you meet do have experienced breakdowns on the highways. What should I have in my car at all times, just in case something happens to the car while I'm on the interstate or on a deserted highway even somewhere, to make sure that I will be safe?
Of course, I think a CB radio. Really, for someone traveling, I can't stand the things around town. They drive you insane. But, and even if you never use it, they've got, some of the people are selling the little ones now that it's a nice, neat little pack, and you can plug it in the cigarette lighter, stick the antenna on the roof, and you can get someone to stop. Get on Channel 19, and in 2 minutes, you've got someone there. As far as the things to keep you from, getting in a bind, a few simple tools, even if you can't use them yourself. A crescent wrench, just a little adjustable wrench, a Phillips screwdriver. So many times you'll go out and that little tiny thing, someone could have just tightened the battery cable, for instance, or like on your little car, you can't take the air cleaner off without a wrench. It used to be you just had a thumb screw up on the top, but now a lot of them have nuts. And carburetor linkage that gets stuck. If you just loosened it, a lot of times it falls back in place and everything's fine. And people will call a wrecker, which I love, if they call you out. I just love the money. But unless you really are a pirate, you can't very well haul someone in on a $35 wrecker bill because they need to loosen one little nut. On the other hand, you run out 10 miles on the highway and do the one little nut, they don't like to pay any charge. And so much of that can be solved with a little knowledge about your car and a little forethought. They're going to get stuck anyway, but it won't happen nearly as often.
Right.
Probably 3/4 of the people that we go out on don't have the foggiest idea how their jack works. And now, on our AAA members, we change tires. And I'm sure that they have that in mind, but the problem is, to get us to change the tire, first we have to get to them, which is a weight, and it's a dangerous weight on the interstate. When you're on the side of a road, I'd rather tear up a $50 tire and get off the road than try and change. I wouldn't change a tire on the interstate myself. I'll do it for business, but I told my wife, you have a flat, drive off. Just get out of the way because you got crazies out there. And people have never stopped to, a lot of the jacks you have to put together. You have to put the base on it, you have to put the little plate that goes in the slots. And we get a lot of calls where people have the good old jack. I think it was in their 40 Chevrolet, and they throw it in the back of their car, and now they're going to use an old bumper jack on their new car, and they'll bend the bumper right off. It won't get up high enough. You can really foul things up. And we had a call just the other day, a lady in a Camaro, and she called us out there, and she said, I don't have a jack. And new car, it wasn't a year old. And I said, well, what happened to your jack? She said, this car didn't have one. It never did have one. And I said, well, it comes with one, and opened up the hood. And Camaros are a small trunk, and they put them on the roof of the trunk. Reach up under there, here it is, never been touched, And she had paid 3 times for people to come out and change your tire because she didn't have a jack. And no one ever told her that the jack, and here's a big picture on the trunk showing her where it is, you know. If you have a car, anytime you get a new car, you ought to jack it up and change the tire, just for drill, you know. A lot of women think that I can't take it loose. And quite often that is a problem, especially if you have your tire fixed at a service station, which who doesn't, you know. They put them on with an air wrench, which is great. You know, you're not going to have it get loose or anything, but that's a lot of torque. And it takes someone your size, for instance, would have a lot of trouble breaking loose a lug nut with one of these little factory, you know, Japanese pot metal lug wrenches. You should buy a good 4-way lug wrench, you know, that fits your car. Went out on a call one day, and the lady had a beautiful chrome, you know, 4-way lug wrench. None of the ends fit her car, but it was pretty, you know, and it rattled around in her trunk.
Many of the cars that we're seeing today on the highways are the kind that come with the spare tire that is not a real tire. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I certainly do.
What's the name of that tire?
Junk? Yeah, that's what they call it.
Well, I'm a little bit afraid to use the one in my car because it does seem to be very unsteady.
It's an emergency tire.
Yes.
I don't know what they say. 30 miles, 40 miles, slowly is all I'd ever do. Yeah. During the ice storm, a fellow was coming through going to Houston, and he'd had a flat with a spare and had one of these little half-size tires. Put it on and said, yeah, I got to get going. I got to get to Houston. And was planning, you know, 65 down the highway on the thing. No way it'll make it. They're small. The cross section is small. They're small in diameter, and your car's all squee-wall. And they aren't designed. They're designed to get you to the next service station slowly, 30 miles an hour.
Many people may not realize that these type of tires are the ones that they have for spares, because most of us grew up in the age where
you had a real tire.
We had a real tire back there. The cars were big enough to hold real tires, and today that's not quite the same. So it would certainly pay to get back there and look and see what you've got in your car.
Unfortunately, most of the cars that have those don't have room to find another wheel and tire to put in there. So you're really pretty well stuck with that. There's another type that where you have the little inflator.
Yes.
Those work, in my experience, about half the time. Especially as they get older. I don't know if they lose pressure, but they almost, it just seems like invariably will not inflate the tire sufficiently to run on it. You might want to buy a new one of those if that's the kind of tire you have.
What advice would you give to our viewers about what should they do if they're caught out on the highway, the car is broken down, they don't know what's wrong with it, and there's no CB radio?
Prayer's nice.
After prayer?
It's sticky. It's sticky from a number of standpoints. We work with state police, and they recommend you tie a white handkerchief on an antenna if anyone has an antenna left. Now they put them in the windshield. It's very hard to do.
Yeah.
But, and roll your windows up and lock your car and sit in it. And that is foreign, I think, to people in Arkansas.
I think you're right.
We're used to, you know, when you're in the country, you know, hey, you put your hand out and the car stops. I was up on Rocky Top the other day looking for directions, and I just pulled over and put my hand out. I had 3 people stop you. How can I help you? You know, that's the kind of atmosphere we have here. But, and I'm talking basically about women now. You may feel silly doing it the other way, but there are some bad consequences of just taking potluck with whomever decides to pull over for you. And you may feel it's a little New Yorkish or a little, you know, paranoid, but I'd recommend that.
So to raise the hood and put the
hood up, put the handkerchief, or just something white.
Something
and
white.
If someone comes over, so look like a scaredy cat. Open your window a little bit and say, would you please call police, call AAA, call a service station that you know, call the Singing Pig Record Service. That's something like that.
Well, I certainly do appreciate your being on the show with us this evening. Also, for our viewers, there are several numbers that I'd like to give you if you have questions about your automobiles. The United States Department of Transportation has an auto safety hotline which you can call to ask any question you like about car repair, car maintenance, even things like alleged safety defects in your vehicle. This number is a toll-free number. It's 1-800-424-9393. On the local level, if you need further information about car repair, or if you believe that you have been the victim of a repair scheme, call us at the Consumer Protection Division. Our toll-free hotline is 1-800-482-8982. If you live in Pulaski County, you may call us at 371-2341. Thank you very much for tuning in to Consumer Alert tonight. I'm Teresa Leno. Please join us again.